Hi guys, in today's video I will be showing you how to animate a walk cycle like this. This is gonna be using ToonSquid, which is $10 on iPad only. Keep in mind that I still consider myself a beginner. I'll make more tutorials later on if you guys want, like how I do lip syncing, backgrounds, or how I animate episodes in general, so look out for that. Okay, let's begin. I'm working with 1920 x 1080 at 24 fps. You wanna get the asset loaded in, adjust it to your liking, and name the layer. I'm naming mine SPN base. SPN is short for Spencer, and this is their base. I put it into a group out of habit, but you don't have to. Now I'm making the limbs. I'm making an arm and leg layer. Naming is really good for organization. You'll need organization when animating. Now I'm just transforming their hierarchy. First goes the base, then attach the arm and leg to the base. It's kinda like a parenting tool when using a light motion. By the way, I forgot to add the back arm. You'll see me adding it in later. Back arms aren't really necessary for all characters since you can't always see them, but in this case a bit of my character is transparent, so I will be adding it in. Now animating walk cycles is actually really simple, and for this video I'm gonna use this guide that I posted on my Pinterest, but I'm actually gonna teach you how to use it. So I'm gonna click on the base layer and convert it into a symbol. Now I'm gonna go in and draw the arm. I like to make the thickness of my brush the same thickness of the character outline, so you'll just see me trying to match it. By the way, if you're curious, I use this round vector brush. Now it's time to start animating the walk. By the way, I didn't realize it, but I was drawing on the random ass layer instead of the SPN leg layer, but I fixed that later on. I'm gonna use my guide here to draw the legs as seen on the pictures. Don't worry about the arrows, I'll explain that later. By the way, make sure not to mix up the legs with each other. If you do, it'll end up looking wrong. It's especially hard not to confuse them when you're drawing legs in the same color, so watch out for that. I'm making each drawing 3 frames long, but it depends on the velocity you want them to walk at. After you finish drawing all 6 pictures as seen in my guide, loop the frames and extend it to your liking. Now it's starting to look like a real walk. But that's not all. I'm gonna explain what these arrows indicate now. We're gonna go into the SPN base layer and configure the keyframes. We're gonna customize the position. You can see me lifting up Spencer's base because that's what the guide tells us to do with the arrows. The first 2 drawings have up arrows, so we're gonna keep Spencer up for the next 2 frames. Now for the 3rd frame you have an arrow pointing down. So we're gonna move Spencer down. Make sure not to overdo it or underdo it. When people walk we naturally have this type of bounce to it. It's not obviously noticeable, but it's still there. So it really just comes down to preference and how exaggerated you want it to look. For the next layer Spencer goes back up because that's what the 4th drawing is telling us to do with the arrow. I'm just gonna copy and paste the same keyframe from when they were up initially. Just to save me some time and keep it consistent. And I'll keep that the same for the next frame since it still has the arrow pointing up. Now for the last frame we're gonna move them down again, so I'll copy and paste the keyframe where they were down onto the current frame. So in total I only moved Spencer down 2 times, and I'm changing it exactly when their leg position changes. Now we're gonna gather all these keyframes and copy them. I don't like the loop feature for keyframes because it never comes out looking right for me, but if you wanna find a way to make it work, do it. I'm just gonna paste the keyframes when the legs go back to the original drawing, drawing number 1. This is when the loop resets. And you will keep copy and pasting it until the clip is as long as you want. Now it's time to bring the animation to life. You're gonna add a transform layer, go to the hierarchy and drag the transform layer onto the hierarchy. Then you wanna get the SPN base layer and move it onto the transform layer. Then you wanna move the little gray pivot point onto Spencer's base. It's important to grab it by the pivot point and not the outer box, because then you'll just be moving the character and not the actual box. Now you're gonna go to the keyframe, go to position, make a starting keyframe from where they start walking and move along the timeline to when you wanna make them stop walking. Add a keyframe and move them to where you want them to end up. First keyframe is point A, second keyframe is point B. Now change the graph to linear and you're done. If you want, you can adjust how fast they walk by changing where the keyframe is on the timeline. the further, the longer they walk, and the closer, the faster. Also adjust how often each frame changes for the leg's positions to change the speed of the walk. The less frames of a leg positions, the faster. The more frames a leg position stays on screen for, the faster, but it might look choppier. You can also still adjust the distance they walk by moving the box around to a shorter length. So that's basically all. Hope you liked this video. If you have any questions, I'll probably answer it since I have nothing better to do. Good luck and please consider watching my object show. Okay, goodbye, I love you.
I ate the bug. This is the end. I love you.